Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
We're back with Know Your Constitution, or as we call it KYC, after a 3-week long break. Just want to take a minute here to thank all of you for writing in to me during this time with requests, suggestions and appreciation for the show. Now let's jump right back in. We have the upcoming Bihar Assembly elections just around the corner, and the voting ballot will see several symbols on them, including some well-known ones like the lotus, the arrow, the hand and the lantern, as well as symbols like the chapati roller, bangles and capsicum. So this week on KYC, I began with an explainer on the Election Commission of India's powers to take decisions on party symbols. Now, Article 324 of the Constitution vests the power of superintendence, direction and control of elections to the Election Commission of India. This is the provision under which the Election Commission issued the Election Symbols Reservation and Allotment Order 1968. The Supreme Court in 1985 also recognized the source of this order as Article 324 of the Constitution. It said that the words used in Article 324 can easily encompass the powers granted to the EC on election symbols. Now let me tell you a bit about how the reservation and allotment of election symbols actually happens. As per the 1968 order, symbols are either reserved or free. A reserved symbol is one that is reserved exclusively for recognized political parties to contest elections. 8 national parties and 64 state parties across the country have reserved symbols presently. And to get a new symbol allotted, parties need to choose 3 free symbols in order of preference at the time of filing their nomination papers. Among them, one symbol is allotted to the party or the candidate on a first-come, first-served basis. Once a symbol is reserved, it cannot be used by any other party, leaving new entrants to pick from the list of remaining free symbols. The EC maintains a large pool of such symbols. These images are really varied and include a cake and a diesel pump too. Fun fact, most of these symbols were sketched by draftsman M.S. Sethi, who retired from the EC in 1992. There was also a time when there were several animal symbols up for grabs. But the Election Commission removed most of them from the list because parties used to parade actual animals during campaigns, subjecting them to cruelty. But a few exceptions to this still remain. For example, the Bahujan Samaj Party still has an elephant as its party symbol. When a political party splits, the Election Commission decides who the symbol should be assigned to. So when the Samajwadi Party split up, the Election Commission allotted the bicycle symbol to the Akhilesh Yadav faction in 2017. The clash between the Modi government and several state governments over the farm bills also intensified on Tuesday when the Punjab government passed its own bills to negate the central laws. To do this, the Punjab government has resorted to Article 254 of the Constitution. So on KYC Next, I told you more about this provision and about the distribution of law-making powers between the centre and the states. Now let me begin with a few basics. The 7th schedule of the Constitution distributes the law-making power between the centre and the states, essentially by making 3 lists: the union list, the state list and the concurrent list. The central government has exclusive powers to make laws on the subjects in the union list, while the state government has exclusive powers to make laws on the subjects in the state list. As for the concurrent list, both central and state governments can enact laws on subjects listed under it. But Article 254 says that in a situation in which there's an inconsistency between the laws made by the parliament and the states, say on a concurrent list subject, then the central law will prevail. But subclause 2 of Article 254 at the same time provides an exception to this rule. It says that if there's a central law and a state law on the same concurrent list subject, because both of them have the power to make laws on the subject, and they have conflicting provisions, then there is one way in which the state law could also prevail in the state instead of the central law. For this, it says that the state would have to get the president's approval for its own law. But there's another catch. This provision also says that even after the president's approval, the central government can still pass another law on the same subject and pass any law to amend or even repeal or invalidate the state law. So now in simpler terms, just to sum it up, the Punjab government will essentially have to get the president's nod for its own farm bills since they have taken recourse to Article 254. In fact, an all-party delegation headed by Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has already handed over the passed legislations to the Punjab governor to forward them to the president. But without the president's approval, the bills passed by the Punjab government on Tuesday will just serve as a symbolic political statement against the centre's farm laws, and even after the president's approval, the centre can very well negate the state laws. There's another contention too. The states have been pointing out that they in fact have the exclusive power to make laws on agriculture and related aspects, and that the centre does not have power to pass the farm bills like it has done already. Now, 8 entries in the state list give the state governments the power to make laws on several aspects related to agriculture. Please note that the 3 farm laws that the central government has passed actually do not mention the constitutional provisions or the entry in the 7th schedule under which the parliament has actually made those laws. As of now, it is being presumed that they have taken recourse to entry 33 of the concurrent list. This entry covers trade and commerce, production, supply and distribution of foodstuffs, including edible oilseeds and oils. But the question whether the central government was actually competent or whether it actually had the power to make these farm laws is a contention that the Supreme Court will now decide, and it has already agreed to hear a bunch of petitions that have challenged these 3 farm laws. Former JNU student leader Umar Khalid was also in the news this past week. This was after a Delhi court asked the Delhi police to give him all the documents on his arrest, including the FIR in a Delhi riots case. The order cites an important provision of the Constitution on the rights of those accused, and that's what I told you about next on KYC. Essentially, the court has referred to Article 22, which provides for protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. The provision has 7 clauses listing down several protections and rights of those arrested, and also talks about preventive detention. But it is the first clause of Article 22 that the court has cited while granting relief to Khalid. This clause essentially lists down 2 things. Firstly, it says that every person who is arrested should be informed about the grounds of their arrest as soon as possible. Secondly, it also says that no arrested person should be denied the right to consult and be defended by a lawyer of his choice. In a 1968 case, the Supreme Court has explained the logic behind these 2 conditions. It has essentially said that firstly, the conditions give the arrested person the earliest opportunity to remove any misunderstanding or mistake in the minds of the authorities who were arresting him, so that the person being arrested can tell them if they are arresting, say, the wrong person, or if they have some misconceptions in their minds. Secondly, informing the person of the grounds of arrest also helps them exercise the second right efficiently, that is the right to consult with a lawyer and be defended by a lawyer. Additionally, Section 50 of the Code of Criminal Procedure also imbibes this requirement. It says that while arresting anybody without a warrant, every police officer must inform them about the full details of the offence for which they are being arrested or any other grounds for their arrest. Therefore, relying on all these provisions, the court granted relief to Khalid, asking the authorities to give him a copy of the FIR, the remand application, remand order granting police custody, and a few other documents. However, it must be noted here that the rights under Article 22(1) do not apply when a person is arrested and detained under a preventive detention law. So, for example, under the National Security Act, which is the law under which Dr. Kafil Khan was detained. So, under the National Security Act, a person can be kept in the dark about the reasons for their arrest for up to 5 days, and in exceptional circumstances, even up to 10 days. Even while providing the grounds for arrest under the Act, the government can still withhold some information if it thinks that the disclosure of the information is against public interest. Under the National Security Act, the arrested person is also not entitled to the aid of any lawyer in any matter connected with the proceedings before the NSA Advisory Board, which is essentially constituted by the government for dealing with the cases under the Act. This is Apoorva Mandhani for ThePrint. For more such videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.